and welcome back to episode 7. I am super excited to be here with you this week. And I want to just take a second and read a note that I got from one of my clients. I just get so excited when I know that I have helped women and that they are seeing actual results in their life. So I want to just share this note that says, I was struggling to take care of myself while feeling sandwiched between grown children, a retired husband, and aging parents. These coaching programs have shown me the importance of taking small steps and, more importantly, how to make goals and plan action steps, and that given time, those small steps can add up to big changes. I learned the importance of celebrating all success, no matter how big or small. So I love getting these notes from clients and seeing changes that real women are making in their own real lives, right? We're not talking about celebrities on TV, but we're talking about everyday people like you, like me. Okay, let's get into the show. We're in the middle of the series on how to take the right kind of action that leads to habits. And one way to take the right kind of action is to set up accountability to others and then to yourself. So in this episode, we're going to talk all about getting the accountability and support that promotes actual changes in your behavior and thoughts. So not just any accountability and support, but a certain type of accountability and support, a way of getting this that is likely different than you have ever had before. And I believe this is one of the key reasons that my clients are able to get results and keep them, is because of the kind of accountability and support that I'm going to talk about. So this is step 3 of the 3 steps to get healthier and more in balance, this getting accountability and support. And it's also part of taking the right kind of action that gets results, getting accountability and support. So this is really important. We want to repeat the action that we've actually started, right? And one of several ways to do that is to get accountability and support around that action. So let me ask you something, and let's get real here, right? My business is keep it simple, keep it real. So let's be honest with ourselves. How often have you said to yourself that you would blank, whatever it might be, and you didn't do it? How often have you set a goal or an intention to do something, to take some kind of action, and then just not followed through? Or followed through consistently long enough to actually see results? So I think we can all raise our hands that we've set a goal or an intention to do something and take an action. And we may have even followed through. But did we follow through consistently enough, long enough to see results? And I bet that there are things we can say, yes, we have. And that's great, because we can see that if I do this over time, I'll get results. But that's the thing, right? Not following through consistently. Setting a goal or an action and doing it for a week or two and then fizzling out is what usually happens. No judgment here, right? It happens, and there's a logical reason why it does, so it's okay. Has this ever happened to you, that you've set a goal and you just weren't able to keep progressing towards that goal? As I record this, we're nearing the end of January, and maybe some of you even set the New Year's resolution or the intention, and by this point you're like, oh, I can't even remember what it was, or I'm done, I'm over it. This is a part of a bigger thing called showing up for yourself, right? I have found it common that women will be great at showing up for others, but not for themselves. Personally, I was so good at being accountable to others, to my family, to my kids, to my job, to my friends, even to strangers, but but not so much to myself. If I didn't show up or keep that promise to myself, it didn't seem like a big deal. And after all, who would even know that I didn't? Who even knew that I quit after a few weeks doing what I said I was going to do? Who else even knew I was planning to start doing that Pilates video? Who knew that I was even going to try to cut back on my snacking before bed? Or read that book I've been wanting to? Or who knew that I was even planning to go to the gym 3 times a week for 6 weeks? Who knew that I was even thinking about starting to meal plan? Who knew that I was actually starting it? And who knew how often I was actually doing it? Or did I just really announce it to people in passing, right? Like, oh, I'm going to start blank. Or I want to blank. Or I need to whatever. We can say a lot of things, especially when it comes to our own health or well-being, and not follow through. I can say I'm going to binge watch this series on Netflix and follow through. Why can't I follow through on other things? Well, that's what I'm breaking down each week in this podcast, so keep listening. If you told a friend that you would meet them at a certain place to take a walk at 6 a.m., you likely would show up. You would hold yourself accountable for doing that. Or if you couldn't meet the friend to walk, you would let that friend know, hey, I can't make it, or even try to reschedule. You wouldn't just not show up and leave your friend standing there at the corner waiting for you. If you had a meeting scheduled at work and you were expected to attend, you would show up or let someone know if you couldn't be there. If you tell your kids that you'll pick them up from practice, you show up. You show up. If you tell yourself you're going to go for a walk, work out, take time to get your nails done, plan the kind of meals you want to eat, take 5 minutes to meditate, plan that girls' night out, whatever, you fill in the blank for yourself. Do you show up? Do you consistently show up for yourself and your desires? Or is it the norm that you don't? Or is it so dependent on other people and external factors as to whether or not you do? We're getting deep, but we're getting to the truth, and we're getting to one of the biggest obstacles that we put in front of ourselves. Do you show up for your own stuff only if everything else gets done, or if everyone else's needs get met, or if everyone else's imagined needs or anticipated needs are met? If you do this, you know what I mean, and I tend to do this. If you're a mom, you probably really do this. Okay, but awareness is the first step to any type of change. So your big takeaway from today may be the awareness that you do this. And this can show up in subtle ways, my friends. Do you lovingly hold yourself accountable for doing even basic self-care? Do you regularly show up for yourself and your own goals? Do you keep promises to yourself over time? Okay, enough of the questions. I'm not trying to shame you or make you feel bad. But when we realize that, in fact, we are standing in our own way because we are afraid to show up for ourselves and be accountable, or we don't know how to do it because we don't have any practice doing it, it's okay. And actually, this was a goal for one of my clients. She said, I want to learn how to keep promises to myself. And for 90 days, that's what she did with the help of coaching and a coaching program. Small steps over time to learn to show up for herself. Once you can do that, learn to consistently show up for yourself and what you want, well, insert whatever it is you want to do, right? Work out more, eat healthier, meditate, whatever. and you will have a much better chance of sticking with it long enough to see the benefits and to make it a habit. Do you have consistent accountability and support for yourself? Or is it just you trying to keep you going with what you want? That is hard. But hey, I used to be the complete opposite. And for any of you that know me or knew the old me, you know that's true. I used to believe that I could and should be my own accountability and support for my actions and goals. Now, I'm not talking about emotional support and bigger picture things, right? The type of support you get from a trusted friend or family or coworkers or a counselor or having faith, but accountability and support for taking some small steps towards a healthier and more balanced life, right? The meal planning, the workout, the less snacking, whatever. I'm not concerning those in my primary relationships with all of that. I have other things I want to talk to my best friend about, or if we do share it, it's not in looking for the actual daily support and accountability that will form habits around that. When I get together with friends, we're not spending the whole time talking about, I think I worked out twice last week. I really wanted to 4 times. No, we're talking about other things, right? Or when we do use our friends as our accountability and support for our new desired actions or habits, it doesn't always work. Let me give you an example of my friend Patty, who is also my neighbor, and I, and how we used to hold each other accountable for, at the time it was, hey, we're going to do this workout 3 times a week because we want to, work out and, whatever. And it worked for a while because we did it in sort of a competition way, right? Like, oh, I did mine today. Did you do yours? And it was about kind of pushing each other and in a competition thing. And there was almost this element of like shame in it. Like, oh, I felt shame if I didn't do it and she did it. And, but we really felt like this could help us keep going, right? Like, I've got to push myself. I'm in a competition with her. She did the workout. Now I have to do the workout. And it wasn't pleasurable. And as you know from a previous episode, it needs to be pleasurable. And it was in this sort of forced competition thing, which worked for a while, but not for the long term, because that's hard. And that's not always the right kind of accountability that we need. Then we would completely shift the other way, though. Like, oh, it's okay that you didn't do your workout. You had a lot going on. Don't be hard on yourself. It's okay. And shift completely the other way of like, yeah, no, it's totally fine. So we need the balance. We need the right kind of accountability and support. And it's not really either of those ways that promote it for the long term. So we can get accountability and support from our friends or other people, but it may not be the type that fits with how our brain wants to form habits. And I am a habit trained coach. And once I learned how to do that, it was like, oh, now I know why all of these things haven't worked in the past. Accountability, getting the right kind of accountability. Now let's talk about support. Do you support yourself when you are trying to get a little healthier and a little more balanced? And what does that even mean or look like? And I never gave it much thought before. Are you good at supporting others? Supporting is helping you along the way. I support my clients by helping them with the obstacles that they face along the way as they're trying to do these new actions or form these new habits. I coach them through it. Support is having a coach. I know how to give them the kind of support that will help them get the results they want. And it's not just by sending them happy emojis or inspirational quotes, although I do my share of that in our GroupMe texting app, and I love that. But it's also supporting their decision to take action and by helping them see when they may need a different course of action. It's not just being a cheerleader, but support that leads to the follow-through and awareness that they want and need to see results. The kind of accountability and support I got from my own coach was different than the kind I get from my friends. It's hard to explain unless you actually experience it. And it's interesting because I've had friends of mine in my coaching programs, and when I'm interacting with them as their coach, it is much different than when I'm interacting with them as their friend. I think you deserve to give yourself the kind of accountability and support that will help you feel a little healthier and a little more balanced, whatever that means for you. Once you become more able to actually show up for yourself, then you will experience results. And it's okay to get help doing this. I have clients that take programs and then coach themselves, and they stay accountable to themselves for months. And that's the goal, right? And then they might come back to a program when they need the accountability again, or when they're working towards a new goal. And I do this for myself as well in my business. I get coached, and then I coach myself until I need coached again, and so on. It's a journey, not something you have to complete and then try not to slip up. It's okay to go back and seek accountability and support. So ask yourself, can I use some accountability and support in moving towards a healthier and more balanced life? Would that be helpful? If so, then a great first step is to join my Keep It Simple, Keep It Real basic program, KSKR. You can do it on your own time and get a taste of what it is like to have the support you need to move closer to your desired result. You get short audio modules delivered to your email each week for 90 days, and you are put in a GroupMe texting app where you can post your actions, you see my posts, you see the posts of others in our community, and you get inspired every time you go into that GroupMe. And I love how women who don't even know each other can support each other on their journey to whatever it is they're trying to do. And we're not talking about something fancy or outrageous. It might just be like, I worked out twice this week, I meal planned twice this week, I'm going to turn my phone off before I go to bed 3 times this week, or, hey, that what you said in the module about self-sabotage, that fit me. It's this ongoing accountability and support through this texting app. But no matter how you do it, whether it's my program or not, seek out accountability and support for yourself. And you will find it much easier to get the results you want. It makes it so much easier to do this for the long term. All right, that's the show. I will chat with you next week. And remember, keep it simple, keep it real.